So what happens after the illusion is seen, after the world is recognized as a kind of story, after the sense of being a separate someone starts to loosen? There is a relief at first. Nothing to fix, nothing to improve, no one left to become, just being. And then life knocks again. Work, relationships, responsibilities. Monday still comes, emails arrive, bills wait, people expect replies. The calendar flips the pages, completely uninterested in any realization. Life doesn't end. That's the first surprise. And for a moment, that can feel deeply uncomfortable. The question appears, how does this continue? How do you keep living when you no longer believe in the character who used to live this life? At first, returning to ordinary life can feel wrong, almost like lying, like stepping back into a role that is already known to be fictional. It's clear now that there is no me here, yet the world keeps addressing one. Often there is a phase of withdrawal, of not trying, of letting everything fall quiet. That's not a mistake, there is honesty in it. But eventually life moves again, it always does. And here is the shift. Life doesn't require withdrawal, it only requires the absence of identification. Participation continues, just without the belief that this is about me. There was never a problem with action, with working, with building something. The tension was never in doing. It was in the idea of a doer, in the belief that success or failure said something personal, that achievement added value, that mistakes took something away. Without that layer, action becomes simple. Movement happens. Life moves life. Nothing extra. The mind usually objects here. What about goals? What about direction? What about ambition? If there is no one here, why do anything at all? That question belongs only to a life lived as a project, a life organized around becoming. When that structure dissolves, it can feel like falling, like groundlessness. But notice what actually happens. Emails still get answered, appointments still get scheduled, food is bought, work gets done, not because someone is managing a story, but because movement is happening. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes not at all, and no one is behind it. This is where ambition comes into focus. Often the old drive fades, the hunger to become someone, to arrive somewhere, to prove something. For those who lived inside that energy for years, its disappearance can feel frightening. But this isn't burnout, it isn't depression, it isn't a loss, it's clarity. The desire to become falls away because the one who was trying to become never actually existed. Life doesn't stop because of this, it just stops fighting itself. Creativity may still appear, work may continue, even leadership or business may happen, but without inner friction, without the constant background tension of this needs to mean something. It becomes obvious that nothing ever needed to be wanted for life to move. Life doesn't require motivation, or belief, or ambition, it simply unfolds. Ironically, things often get easier. Less overthinking, less guilt, less comparison. Action happens when it happens, and sometimes nothing happens at all. There are moments of stillness, lying down, staring out a window, no impulse to move. That isn't wrong, it simply means movement isn't required right now. When it is, it will happen. No effort needed. So, should work continue? Should success still matter? There is no rule against it. If life moves in that direction, it moves. If a project wants to express itself, it does. If money appears, it's used. If a role fits, it's played, just without pretending any of it defines me. Success is fine when it doesn't become identity. Failure is fine when it doesn't turn into a personal story. The most honest ambition doesn't come from lack. It comes from the same place as ease. It's not a reaction, it's simply what arises. And then there is the human layer: relationships, money, social roles. The world doesn't reorganize itself around this seeing. Your ego may collapse, but your landlord's doesn't. Neither does your partners, or your parents, or your colleagues. So how do you stay true without becoming disconnected? Because the temptation to withdraw completely can be strong, especially when small talk can feel hollow, meetings can feel absurd, conversations about dreams and goals can sound like theater. Sometimes stepping back is necessary, like a detox. But life doesn't end there. A message comes, a conversation happens, something needs attention, and the realization deepens. This isn't outside of life. There is no position above it. Participation continues, just without a personal center. Conversation happens, laughter happens, even conflict happens, but lightly. No one to defend, no image to protect, no story to maintain, just interaction. This isn't spirituality, it's naturalness. No performance, no role, just clear seeing and honest movement. People often confuse the loss of ambition with the loss of vitality, as if not striving means drifting. But nothing is drifting. What's gone is the tight grip on the steering wheel. The boat was always moving on its own. Care is still here, but now it comes from understanding, not anxiety. In relationships, this changes everything. There is no need to be completed, nothing to demand, no role to project, just presence. This is where the truth shows itself. It's easy to feel peaceful alone, but in relationship, when old patterns get triggered, it becomes clear whether this seeing is alive or just conceptual. Reactions still happen, emotions still arise. The question is never whether they appear. The question is whether they belong to someone. Without identification, emotions are like weather. They move, they pass. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be transcended. They simply no longer own anything. The same is true with money. Bills still arrive. Work still needs to be done. But the anxiety softens. Not because of better control, but because the imaginary carrier of the burden is gone. Money returns to what it always was, a neutral tool, not a measure of worth. Action becomes cleaner, less strategy, less self-selling. Work is done honestly, or not done at all. There is no need to prove value anymore. No belief that more money means more meaning. And often, when the grip relaxes, money flows more easily. Or it doesn't. Either way, nothing personal. Just life. This is freedom. No romanticizing lack, no chasing abundance as identity, just responding to what's needed. And finally, there's one last subtle trap, turning this seeing into a new identity. The calm one, the wise one, the one who's above it all. Soft voice, gentle smile, just another mask. Freedom doesn't look like anything. It doesn't care whether there is meditation at dawn or shouting in traffic. It's not about behavior. It's about the absence of identification within behavior. Peace isn't achieved. It's noticed that there is no one here to disturb. Life can be lived anywhere, in a meeting room, in heartbreak, in a grocery store, with the same clarity, without a center. There is no need to live life to live this. Only the idea of standing at its center dissolves. There was never a spiritual life and a material life. That division existed only in thought. No balance is needed, no two lives to integrate. There was never someone managing realities. There is just life. Breathing, working, typing, laughing, resting. No one behind it. Participation continues. Creation continues. Goals may still appear, but everything is lighter now because the burden is gone. Life is no longer lived to become someone. Work is no longer done to compensate for lack. Mornings no longer begin with proving worth. There is being, and no one being. What is doesn't need fixing, doesn't need improvement. And when the whole question of how do I balance this collapses, there is nothing left to balance. Life was never outside truth. It was only thought to be. So if work happens, work. If love appears, love. If rest comes, rest. Let life unfold. The one who tried to manage it was never there. And somehow life has always been moving just fine without them.